Well, it's now Sunday of the second week, and haven't even started this segment because when I was thinking about alcohol and PTSD and vets issues and stuff, I thought it was going to be a pretty easy issue to talk about. But the thing is, as I looked at it, and I went through a bunch of groups at Batavia, we did a drug and alcohol group that was really good. And we talked about a lot of stuff. But the thing was, after I thought about it for a while, one of the things that we never really talked about was how to actually stop doing this self-destructive activity, right? Taking drugs, taking alcohol, drinking alcohol. And as I thought about it, I was like, shit, man, maybe I should just do another episode because I'm not prepared for this episode at all. So I'm just going off, well, I pretty much just talk in these episodes anyway. There's no script for these episodes. I just go off the top of my head, and that's the way I do these things because I don't want to script things because that ain't real. That's just some polished. I do have to clean up some of the video and some of the mistakes I make and stuff like that, but that's all I'm doing. That's as far as I'm editing. There's no, overdubs or, well, there was one that I completely fucked up a terminology on some, but that's one thing, but it wasn't changing a whole directive of what I was trying to say. So this is no different. I don't know what to say about this. I quit drinking back the first time I went through Batavia, and that lasted for maybe a little over a year. I can't remember, but I did have a breakdown where I completely lost my shit and got really fucked up, and it's a fucked up shit. So as far as actually quitting these things, I don't think there is any one single way to do this. Like throw on a patch or something like that and you quit smoking or any bullshit like that. What it really comes down to, I think, is you have to want that shit for yourself, man. There ain't nobody. You can go to fucking groups all year long, every day, 7 days a week. Talk to all these people, say you're doing all this stuff, say you don't drink. I think the more you talk about this shit, the more pressure you're putting on yourselves because I know a lot of guys that go to AA and, they got the coins and it's like this whole process to get coins and they get to 6 months and then all of a sudden they have a drink and then they go back to nothing. And then it's like the way they talk about that shit, it's almost like they want to freaking off themselves. And it's like, just start over again. And if you're drinking again or doing whatever, the guys that I was with in Batavia, there was all kinds of stuff that these guys were into. So it ain't just, weed. I don't think weed's a problem. So whatever, that's my opinion. I don't give a shit what anybody has to say about that. So going into coke and heroin and meth and crack and all the rest of that stuff, man, I see that shit and what it does to people. Just roll down the city streets here in Buffalo, down Broadway Avenue or whatever, and you'll see the end result. And that's pretty much the end fucking result, because the next step for those fucking people is a coffin. And that's no bullshit, man. That's the last step in life, bro. If that's, I encourage, if you think you have it bad or whatever, Just drive around there and see what's out there. Even try to walk. I don't know if I'd walk down the street unless you don't know if you don't know the area or whatever. But drive through there, and even during the day, you can talk to some of these people on the street, and I'll tell you what, they are not on this planet. And you start to wonder, man, where did this come from? What did they do before this? Who were they? And you see how that's fucking rock bottom. The end of rock bottom is a coffin, and you're buried 6 feet under. That's the end of rock bottom. So, and I think a lot of people to actually quit, if they think they don't have a problem, or they say they want to quit, they want to do this, they want to do that. Well, you can talk all kinds of shit, but if you really don't want to do it and you're just talking that shit because you want to be holier than thou or whatever and have a purpose or whatever, man, you don't want to quit, then don't fucking quit. You're not going to quit. If you don't want to quit, you ain't going to quit. I don't give a shit what the fuck you tell yourself or what groups you go to. You ain't going to quit. Not until all that shit that comes with doing that stuff in excess, not until all the shit that comes with that comes at you, are you going to realize that you have a fucking problem. So you might lose your house. You're going to lose your family. You're going to lose your relationships, your family, whatever. I guarantee you are going to, because and I hear a lot of vets saying, "Oh no, it's good. My wife is good with it. This and that." And then it's like, then they're like, "What happened? What the fuck you think happened, man? You're a fucking alcoholic. You're a freaking crackhead. You're a fucking meth user. Whatever whatever it is. You're doing this shit in excess and it's fucking ruining your life." You can say the same thing about gambling too, because that was one of the other addictions that we talked about at Batavia. That can really fuck up your life, because now you're talking, you're taking, well, either way, even with drugs or gambling or whatever, you're taking food out of your family's mouth. If you don't have a family, then you're going to be, that's the next step, right? If you did have a family, you're probably going to lose them, and then you're going to end up in some shithole. You're going to be with a bunch of other fucking retards that have the same addiction that you are. Once you're around people like that agree with everything that you do and are on the same path that you are on, it doesn't seem like it's wrong. And that's a problem. You're hanging around the wrong fucking people, because they're going to all drag you down. You might be dragging some of them down, right? You might be the reason why someone else is doing that shit too. Not even knowing about it. Just, you can say all you want. Hey, this doesn't affect anybody but me. Yeah, well, there's one motherfucker right over there. Probably, maybe he's not as far gone as you are, but he's looking at you and you're making it seem like it's okay. So he thinks it's okay. So he's going to lose all his shit too. Don't think you're not harming anybody, because you are. I don't give a shit what anybody tells you. You're fucking hurting other people. Period. So, and I've seen a lot of guys also, vets, non-vets, saying they're not drinking. I just saw a brother of mine ask me for a beer at the end of the night and walk out with a beer in his hand. You know who you are, because I know you watch this shit. Don't think I didn't catch that. So, talk is bullshit. It's your actions that matter. It's what you do after you. You want to talk those words, talk the words all you want, but it's what you do after that. Are you really doing that shit? And yeah, you see me, I'm not holding myself to, you can't drink nothing, you can't do any drug, blah, blah, blah. No, you know what? If I want to have a fucking beer, I'm going to have a beer. So I don't think I have an addictive personality. I never have. So for me to just, when it was time for me not to drink at Batavia, I had no problem whatsoever. There's no cravings, nothing like that. I know some of the guys were fucking going off the wall. Not even with marijuana or anything like that did I have a problem. So that's never been a problem for me. And the older I get, man, the recovery just sucks. And even if I have, 3 or 4, the early the next morning, it's just like, I just don't want the headache. I don't want to feel like sluggish, feel like it's fucking horrible. So I can't even imagine right now. I can't even imagine drinking like a case. So it's, fuck that. I just, yeah. So again, Alcohol for me, I don't give a shit. Take it or leave it, whatever. If I never had it again, I don't give a shit. I did start bringing zero NA beer or whatever you want to call it around when I go someplace. I'll have something like that, because when I actually quit from Batavia, I was drinking a lot of Pepsi and Monster drinks, and I'll tell you what, like, that shit is like fucking cocaine to me. That caffeine, I gotta stay away from fucking caffeine, because I want to fight people. I'm acting like I'm on fucking coke, right? So, and it's not healthy for you either. It was fucking everything up. I was gaining more weight and everything. Not that I'm a big guy anyway, but so I had to have something that started bringing fruit around and mixing that up in a blender and drinking that. And then I was just drinking that, and I was bartending at the time as well too at the club. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, what's that? Is that an alcoholic drink you're drinking?" I was like, "No, it's just fucking fruit." And shit. "Oh, can you put alcohol in that?" "Yeah, sure." Fucking making mixed drinks for him and stuff like that with the shit that I was drinking, but putting an alcohol in there. So, and I'll taste it too, just to make sure it's, tastes good or whatever. I don't, this whole thing is like, you take a little sip of rum or something like that and you lose your coin. I don't subscribe to that bullshit, man. You either gonna, be an addict, be addicted to the shit, or you're not, whatever. So, and like I said, all the groups that you go to, a lot of it is talking about the excuses that you make. Some of the excuses that I hear coming from a lot of the game myself. So anyway, I don't know where I'm going to go with this. I'm going to try to record some more on this and try to figure something out to pull this episode out of the ashes. I'm trying to do something. I know this is a big topic. This is a huge topic, and I don't feel like I have any good advice here. Shit, you're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. And hopefully between now and Friday, when I have to put out this episode, I can think of something to say to inspire somebody, or to, I don't know, pass some kind of fucking message that, will help you out with this. But this is a hard thing to talk about, especially for me, because this was a problem. And I know I way fucking overdid shit with alcohol, especially back in the day. Not even back in the day, just, a couple years ago, fuck. And it was getting to the point where it's like, if I had one, I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping until I pass out, or until I fucking pass out. Right? So, and usually in between there was a blackout and me going after somebody. It was something always violent. It was always violent. Because for some reason I would take things a lot different. When I was drinking, I was taking in things. I was interpreting things incorrectly. You think somebody said something about you, they can have a conversation one-on-one, and I'll be sitting there listening to you, and I'll interpret what you're saying totally different than, you could be saying, "Hey man, I like that hat that you're wearing. That is really cool." And I take it as, "Hey man, that hat of yours, that means you want to fight me." I was like, what the fuck? I mean, but that's how I would look at some of these things. It didn't make any fucking sense. So, and I could be having a perfectly good conversation, and then all of a sudden it'd snap, and it would go into the, "Hey, I want to fight you" type thing. And I'm thinking that's what they're saying, and getting all fucking wacky and shit, and people pulling me aside going, "Dude, what the fuck is wrong with you?" So, but again, with alcohol, you don't get a lot of support. You do get a support if you're actually wanting to quit and stuff like that, I think, with people. But problem with alcohol especially is how many times you go to fucking places with somebody, even when you're telling people you don't drink no more, and they're like, "Come on, just have one." Right? And literally you have to say, "No, man, I don't fucking drink. Stop." You have to get almost violent with these motherfuckers, right? And if that's the case, you shouldn't be hanging around these fucking idiots to begin with, right? If they're not, if they're not going to be behind you. All my brothers in the club, man, when I told them that, they're yelling at people when they try to do that shit for me. I don't even have to fucking yell at anybody or get stupid or get all worked up, because they know that's what's going to happen. I'm going to get fucking worked up, and then I'm going to get mad, and then I'm going to start shitting and whatever. So I got brothers that got my back for real. So, and you're going to need that. And you're going to find out real quick who those fucking brothers are, because if they're the ones, you know, trying to push the beer over to you, or the alcohol, or the Coke, or whatever the fuck it is, hey man, fuck you, get the fuck out of my life. You don't need that. You don't fucking need that. You need the people that, hey, get that shit away from me. Don't do that shit. They're already fighting your battles for you, because they got your fucking back. So, I don't know if that's advice or not, but it's kind of hard advice, because it's basically saying you might have to go through your friend circle and cut out some of those friends. So, and I know they talk about that in groups too. Because if you really want to do that for yourself, you're going to have to cut some shit out of your life. You know, no matter what, drug, alcohol, whatever. This goes for everything, man. So, and if you're not willing to do it for yourself, then fuck it, don't do it, because you ain't gonna succeed. I'm telling you that right now. Fuck it. Just drink yourself to death, shoot yourself up to death, whatever, because you might as well, right? That's fucking horrible advice, right? But it's hey man, because that's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen. You don't want to fucking quit doing this shit. Just fucking shoot yourself in the fucking head. Because that you're ended up the same fucking place, right? Eventually, anyway, right? And you take yourself out now. Before that, you might not take somebody else down with you. So there's some really fucked up real advice, huh? So hopefully I have some better advice later on when I start recording some more on this. And let's go. All right, like I said, I'm going to try to talk about drugs and alcohol and the effects it has on you, the people around you. And that's about all I can do on this, because really I don't have any good advice for if you want to actually, you know, get out of that habit and stop actually doing that. It's all up to you, man. There ain't no easy fix. There ain't no patch. There ain't no fucking program. It's up to you. So, and that's the bottom line. So as far as recommending any kind of path to do that, you got to want to do it yourself. So, but if you find yourself on that road and you're having all kinds of health problems, family problems, work problems, you're starting to feel like shit, maybe you got a disease because you did something really fucking stupid, you know, with people that you shouldn't have been doing, because when you're inebriated like that, you don't usually think straight. So you're going to have all kinds of problems. You're going to have problems with the law. You're definitely going to have financial problems. And that will go back to your relationships, especially if you have kids, man. That affects them probably the most. They see their dad or mom, especially if they're growing up, passed out on the floor or acting all fucking stupid, or they know. And once they grow up, they'll remember that shit. So I can tell you, when I went to Batavia and I quit drinking cold turkey, it was a while. It took me, man, your body does not feel right. And I wasn't even that far gone. So if you're doing crack, meth, hair, I can't comment on that stuff. I can make a comment on that stuff, and it's my opinion. But I haven't been through that. I haven't done any of that shit, so I don't plan to either. So, but I know alcohol fucked up a lot of things in my life too. So I can speak on that. And I know when you quit, if you've been doing it for a while and you're doing it every time you go out, you almost feel like you have to have that, because the real you isn't there, and you're not yourself when you're talking to people. You're awkward. It's awkward as fuck. And you don't know how to act, because usually when you're drinking, you think you're the funniest motherfucker in the room. And now I see it as, you know, somebody that's freaking wasted in front of me and trying to talk to me. I'm just like, get the fuck out of here, man. You are annoying as fuck. get away from me. Just get away from me. Don't talk to me. Don't, fuck that, man. They're all over you and shit like that. And if they're one of those joyful drunks, oh, I love you, brother. Okay, well, great. Back the fuck off, man. I don't like that shit. So, most shit you say when you're wasted like that ain't funny. So, and once you learn how to be yourself when you don't have that shit in your hand, I think your brain starts rewiring shit once you stop doing that shit, and you can come up with, you can articulate things better. Definitely you can articulate things better. You can talk to other people, you can talk at whatever level you need to, and your wit about you, the shit that makes you funny to other people, you can actually, come up with pretty good talking points when you're not drinking. A lot faster than you could when you're drinking or smoking weed or whatever. I don't know, whatever. So that'll come. So, and I'm sure that's the same thing if you ask anybody that's been down the drug route. Once you get off of that, hopefully the stuff starts rewiring back in your brain. A lot of the functions in your body, unless you've really fucked yourself up and just organs are starting to shut down, hopefully you get to that shit before that happens, right? So one of the biggest things that I want to touch on is that this shit does not affect just you. It affects people around you. If you're some, homeless on the street who have nobody, no family left, then if you're going to do what you're going to do, you're going to do what you're going to do. So if you don't want to build up your life, you have no reason to live or whatever, then, if you really want to get off it, then you really get off it and you find something to fucking live for. If not, like I said in the previous recording, whatever, don't bring other people down with you. Just go off and disappear, man. Because that's what I think is the worst thing you can do to another person is bring them down with you. So, and these are people you supposedly call your friends or your drinking buddies or your syringe users, whatever. We share syringes. Yeah, okay, because I know he's clean. Yeah, sure you do. Fucking retards. So, if you're going to do that, I have no fucking advice for you whatsoever. One of the things I would like to touch on, though, is prescription drugs, because those are getting way out of hand. And those prescription drugs that you can get on the street are usually not prescription drugs, first of all. They're knockoffs, and they're coming from China, and they most likely are laced with fentanyl, and now there's a new drug out there or something like that that's even worse, I guess. So, this is really the war on drugs not right now, because China's doing this shit on purpose. I don't give a shit what you have to say about that, if you think it's a conspiracy or not, but that's what's happening. So, and it's going through the cartels and people that want to do ill to the United States of America. So don't take shit off the street, man. And again, you can't stop these people from doing that. So if they really want to go down that road, they're going to go down that road, and they're going to fucking end up at rock bottom and in a fucking coffin. Bye. So, I mean, you can't help somebody who doesn't want to help themselves. How many fucking times have you heard that? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. All that nonsense, right? So it's not nonsense. It's true. And it's actually a harsh reality, fucking truth, too. And people say that shit all the time, but it's like, you know what? If the motherfucker wants to kill himself, he's going to kill himself. There's ain't nothing you can do. So you can help him when he wants to help himself. But if he ain't trying, hey, man, fuck him. I mean, that's the bottom line. It is, really. If you don't like to fucking hear it, don't fucking listen. Because that's what it is. You can't fuck up your life, too, because someone that doesn't want to help themselves is always constantly, taking up your time. He's not going to be helped. You're not going to help him. So, thought I'd have better advice than fuck him, but I don't know what to say, man. Like I said, this shit's hard for me to talk about since I had to go through it. And I really don't have any other advice. And it's funny because I was just listening to the radio the other day, and they were talking about, it was a conservative show about about this whole subject about drugs coming in, fentanyl and that stuff from China on purpose, going through the drug cartels and pushing it back up through the Mexican border and this and that. And that's been going on forever. Shit, even when I was in the Marine Corps, my unit down in my counterpart unit down in California was involved with the DEA down on the border and patrolling that shit for the same exact thing that was happening now. Same fucking shit. You know, hopefully it gets taken care of with this new administration, but you know, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But anyway, they were talking about all the drugs and this and that, and stay away from. You know, he's giving all kinds of advice, you know, for kids and shit, and stay away from these drugs on the street. You know, Xanax, you know, benzos, all kinds of shit. You can sit here all day and name that shit. And then right after that, literally right after that, the first commercial was a prescription for some ailment. And I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. This is so hypocritical. And it was actually the speaker that was talking about all this fentanyl stuff and all this China and Mexico and cartel stuff that actually read the commercial on prescription drugs for this ailment. I'm like, that is so fucked up. And that is so fucking fake and unreal. And that's the exact same shit that I want to stay away from with this podcast. Because you can talk and talk and talk, and then all of a sudden you want to talk about something that just completely contradicts what the fuck you're talking about. Is just, I can't, I don't have the words. I just don't have the words. It's so fake. And I hope I never go down that road. And I hope if I do even start even dabbling in that I have enough people that watch this that'll call me up or text and, you know, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Keep it real for me too. I don't always keep my shit together. So this podcast helps me too though. So, and I hope I'm helping other vets, non-vets, whoever's watching this shit. So, but as far as the advice go for drugs and alcohol, man, don't do it, man. Don't get caught up with all the shit that's out there now, and there's so much shit that's out there right now. Just don't get caught up in the first place, and if you do, man, you gotta want to stop. That's all I gotta say, right? You gotta want it for yourself, all right? That's all. I'm out. So there's one thing that I did forget to mention, and I think this is really important. If you're just starting to get into the drugs and the alcohol and all the rest of that stuff, and I know when it's young, it's hard to distance yourself from that stuff because there's so much pressure on the young kids and everything that it's really hard to get away from that. But looking way back on this, and I'm older now, but I wish I knew this before, is that there's always going to be someone to talk to, whether it be your parents or friends or counselors or whatever. Before you go down that road, I would hope that you would talk to somebody, because usually the stuff that is the makings of an alcoholic or a drug user or whatever is something's fucked up in their life. Depression, relationships, you name it. Financial shit, work, law issues, I don't know, whatever. It doesn't, there's always some underlying shit that's there. So, and I wanted to bring that up, man. Get help. Get help before you go down and talk to somebody. Just talk to somebody, please. Talk to somebody, especially if you're young. Try your parents. I know not everybody has the greatest parents or not like that, but if that doesn't work, there's always avenues to go out there and get help. So just talk, please talk to somebody. All right. That's probably the best advice I have right now.